Hi Verna, I'm just looking at your project here. I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. So your apple, if I zoom in on this, I'm not seeing a clipping mask, which will look like kind of like a black and white little thing in the thumbnail here. It might have some empty layers too, I'm not sure. Oh no, that's... Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you did these separately and then brought them in, but I don't see any clipping masks. But it does look like they were clipped. I was just wanting you to use a layer mask, if possible. If I double click on this, can I see? Okay, so it looks like I don't see one. So if we go here and unlock this and then do kind of the quick selection tool here, maybe I'll just do it on the background because it'll actually probably go a little bit better, but I'll just show you kind of what I'm talking about. It's very much like the clipping demo we did. I don't think it's going to be, if you don't do this, I don't think it's going to hurt your grade that much, but this is kind of the process that I was wanting you to use. And maybe you did use this process, but I'm not seeing that evidence of that. So I went to, here, let me do this again. So I have my selection. I used the quick selection tool. I actually did the background because sometimes the background is actually easier to select than the actual thing that we're trying to select. And then if we go to select and mask up here, I'm on the quick selection tool, but if we, once we have our selection made, we can go to select and mask, and this one's actually clipping pretty well. We can go to invert our selection. There's a little thing on your chin here that I can subtract. This is the brush tool. This one you can literally just brush it on. Okay. There's maybe a little thing with your coat here. I'm not really sure. There's a couple things that I could smooth out. It's hard to do with a trackpad, but if you have a mouse, it works a little better. Another thing that helps with these little jagged edges is if we do Command 0, that zeroes out our canvas, but we can actually turn the feather up on this. Somewhere around 8 on this image is working pretty good. This part of it is still not wonderful, so I kind of went in and brushed on the minus. I can change the size of the brush up here. I can change the hardness. I'm going to leave it at 100%. The hardness means it's just very sharp, not feathered. It's not a feathered edge brush. Okay. And then we can do the output too. Sometimes you have to scroll down to find this because there's an actual scroll bar here. So the output settings, if we open that up, we can do layer mask here. So the output to layer mask, push OK. And, we could delete this and save this. And it'll look pretty much the same in here, but if I open up the smart object, you can see that it is. And it might be better to just do this inside of here, like do a file place and bring this me facing take 2, do a file place embedded, and then do, turn off the other layers with the eyeballs and just focus in on that layer. And you can use the quick selection tool just like I did, select the background, and then do to select a mask and put your output to layer mask, and you'll actually get that little black and white thing there. Let's see, turn that back on. And the nice thing about these layer mask, clipping mask things is that you can feather the edges out, and I think some of these clips could use some feathering. I'm not saying you have to redo all of them because you have gosh darn it, cancel. You have, if I go back into your self-portrait, you have done quite a few, so I don't want you to have to do that, but maybe make sure you have at least 2 of them in here, because on the project worksheet I was hoping for that, but I think everything else is looking pretty good. I'm looking at this image here, and I'm kind of wondering if it's high enough resolution. It looks a little blurry. Also, one thing we could do is make sure we're on that layer. Which one is it? I think it's this one maybe. So layer 4. If I do a select color range on this layer, I think I can just get the white and I could delete that. I'm not sure if that's really going to look amazing. but it might look a little bit better. Just for some reason, this image is not doing it for me, and I like the colorfulness that it has, but I think it's just the edges of it are a little too jagged and the white looks a little messy. So maybe try, you might want to try to find a different colorful light bulb. Although I'm liking the fact that it's kind of paintbrush strokes. I am really liking that, but I think maybe it's just like the little globules of white maybe that are coming off of it that I'm not loving. So I'm not sure. I do like how colorful it is, though, and I like how it's kind of different from the rest of the rest of everything else, I guess I should say. Yeah, and maybe with your image, you could try, since it is a smart object, you can double click on it, and you can do like maybe, I don't know, some kind of something to it. Maybe hue saturation, brightness contrast, maybe like some kind of treatment to the color. You could, let's see, is this doing anything? Maybe I need to turn the saturation up. I feel like it's not doing anything to it. I don't know why. Here, let's see, I'll use my little hand and move it over. I don't think it's actually doing anything for some reason. Let me try this again. Oh, let's see. So hue, saturation. Okay, now it's working. So I don't know if you wanted to try, I mean, it has to look really intentional, right? But you also don't want to make yourself look sick or anything. But you could try, I don't know. Sometimes curves is a good one to use. Is this one? Oh yeah, there it is. So it brings this little thing, and you can kind of just play with these. Sometimes it can get kind of crazy, but sometimes that's what you're looking for. So maybe it's something like that. And then if I save that, Command S or File Save, you can bring it into here. You might not want that effect, but you know what I'm saying. You could maybe do some sort of effect to yourself. Anyway, I'm kind of going long on this, but I'm thinking this is a really inventive and fun project, and I think you've done a really good job. And I'm really liking this bubble. So anyway, you can also try changing the blending modes. I don't know if you're going to like any of these any better. They're right here. And sometimes you can find some really cool blending modes on some of these, especially with the bubble. But anyway, I'm going to stop there. Great job.